Over the last 5 to 10 years, fuels have changed in their composition. Historically, they were mineral fuels. And now there's the introduction of bio content to those fuels. Two types of fuel, primarily, diesel and petrol. In diesel, there's been the introduction of FAME, which stands for fatty acid methyl esters, primarily things like used cooking oil. And in petrol, the introduction of ethanol as a more sustainable product than petrol itself. Ethanol has very similar properties to petrol and works very well with it. It has no detrimental effects on the running of an engine. But should you have a spill or runoff or drips from your petrol hose when you're filling up your car, or indeed the tanker filling up into the tank on site, that can very well run onto the surface, hit the surface drain gullies, which will go into the interceptor. And the interceptor is there to prevent contamination. It's a barrier between the day-to-day operations of a site containing hazardous liquids, preventing any of that from reaching any watercourse. The premise on which an interceptor is based, as is most environmental management principles now, is that fuel floats on water. So the basic chemistry behind how the ethanol filter works is ethanol and petrol, let's look at them as two separate things, enter a water environment in the interceptor. The interceptor primarily will have a full chamber of water. The petrol element will sit on the top and probably evaporate. The ethanol would much rather has a propensity to join the water. So typically, if there's 0.1 something % of water in petrol, and this is quite the reverse way around, then even then the ethanol will depart into the water. So you can imagine in an interceptor full of water, the ethanol will naturally quickly drop into the water. On its own, that's not a major issue. The problem now becomes that in the same way that ethanol prefers water to petrol, BTEX, which are the real nasty contaminants contained within petrol, would rather be with the ethanol and water than the petrol. So, petrol and ethanol enters an interceptor, the ethanol drops into the water and takes with it BTEX. And BTEX are the absolute nasties that we don't want to see entering the environment. So that's benzene, toluene, ethyl benzene, and xylene. The purpose of the ethanol filter is to sit there as a barrier that allows water to continue to enter. As you know, you'll get rainwater onto the site and that can flow through and out nicely. But any petrol, any diesel, any BTEX components or any ethanol is prevented from entering the watercourse.